Behind the quiet walls of Sandringham, a royal drama has begun unfolding that few ever expected to see. Sources claim Princess Anne's legal team has taken the extraordinary step of securing a private wing of the historic estate, effectively shutting the door on Queen Camilla's plans for a secluded summer retreat. What started as a simple question of space has quickly become far more serious. So, why would Anne draw such a firm line inside the monarchy's most personal sanctuary? And what does this silent legal move reveal about tensions within the royal family? This is the story. The legal bombshell at Sandringham. What began as hushed conversations behind the grand walls of Sandringham has now escalated into a startling legal maneuver, one that is shaking the usually discreet corridors of the British monarchy. Sources indicate that Princess Anne's legal team has taken decisive steps to formally secure her family's long-standing rights to a private wing of the historic Sandringham estate. This area has traditionally been considered part of the royal family's shared, informal arrangements. This isn't just paperwork. It is a rare public glimpse into the behind-the-scenes rules that govern how one of the world's most private families manages its personal spaces. For decades, the workings of Sandringham have been guided not by legal contracts, but by gentlemen's agreements, unspoken understandings among family members about who could use which parts of the estate and when. These informal arrangements relied heavily on trust, courtesy, and respect for tradition. Historically, no one thought it necessary to put such matters in writing. After all, these were close-knit family spaces where agreements were honored quietly, without fanfare. But in 2026, the palace's usual calm seems to have frayed. The rise in tension and disputes over personal access has prompted Princess Anne to take an unprecedented step, to turn decades of informal understanding into legal authority. By bringing in lawyers, Anne has transformed what was once a flexible, behind-the-scenes family custom into official documentation that leaves little room for dispute. This formal recognition doesn't just protect her household's private use of the space, it sends a clear and unmistakable signal throughout the monarchy. Certain areas of Sandringham are no longer up for negotiation. They are protected, recognized, and legally backed. Within royal circles, this move is being seen as a bold assertion of boundaries, a subtle but powerful reminder that even within the most elite family, authority and control over private domains must sometimes be reinforced through formal measures. The implications are significant. Sandringham, with its sprawling 20,000 acres of parkland, historic houses, and deeply personal family spaces, is more than just a property. It is a sanctuary, a place steeped in tradition, memories, and centuries of royal history. To see lawyers formally document usage rights here is extraordinary, a shift that signals a new era in how personal family territory is managed at the highest level of the monarchy. What started as quiet discussions behind palace doors has now become a story of legal power, family dynamics, and the assertion of personal authority within one of the world's most scrutinized royal households. The unfolding situation leaves many wondering, will this careful legal fencing of Sandringham settle tensions, or will it ignite further disputes within the family? One thing is clear, the age of informal, trust-based agreements may be quietly coming to an end. Princess Anne reportedly took legal steps to seal off a wing of Sandringham, making access to it much more restricted than ever before. But who stood to need this space the most at the very moment of this unexpected move? And what does blocking access reveal about the hidden tensions within the royal circle? Let's uncover the shocking details. Camilla's summer escape blocked. The timing of Princess Anne's legal move has sent ripples of surprise throughout the corridors of the palace. Royal insiders suggest that Queen Camilla had quietly been eyeing one of Sandringham's more secluded wings as a private summer retreat, a place where she could step away from the relentless demands of public life while King Charles traditionally traveled to Balmoral in Scotland. For Camilla, Sandringham would have offered a near-perfect sanctuary. Expansive gardens, leafy walkways, historic architecture, and the kind of privacy that only a centuries-old royal estate can provide. Away from the glaring attention of London's media and the constant public scrutiny, it would have been a chance to enjoy a quieter life for a few weeks, living almost like a private citizen rather than a monarch in the public eye. But what could have been a peaceful and restorative summer escape has been dramatically altered by Princess Anne's legal intervention. By formalizing her family's rights to that specific section of Sandringham, Anne has effectively closed the door on Camilla's plans, turning what might have been a gentle retreat into a subtle but unmistakable royal standoff. Within palace walls, this is more than just a question of who gets to occupy a wing of a historic home. It is a symbolic assertion of authority, a quiet but firm demonstration that even within the most private spaces of the monarchy, boundaries can be drawn and defended, sometimes in ways that no one expects. The reaction within royal circles has reportedly ranged from stunned silence to whispered speculation. To some, Anne's move is seen as an unusual but calculated step to protect her family's long-standing access and traditions. To others, it is a bold reminder that the monarchy, for all its grandeur and public spectacle, is still very much a family business, with its own internal politics, alliances, and rivalries. What had been planned as a private, behind-the-scenes summer arrangement has now become a story of legal strategy, personal assertion, and subtle power play. For Queen Camilla, the implications are clear. Sandringham, one of the monarchy's most cherished and private estates, is no longer freely negotiable. Even a queen consort may find her plans constrained by the established rights and legal protections of other senior family members. The once tranquil retreat is now a focal point of family tension, illustrating how the quiet corners of the royal estates can become battlegrounds for influence, loyalty, and the assertion of personal authority. What was meant to be an escape from royal pressures has instead turned into a dramatic reminder that in the world of Sandringham, history, tradition, and legal maneuvering are inseparable, and even the most private plans can spark a public intrigue. Camilla reportedly had plans to use the sealed wing of Sandringham when Princess Anne made her unexpected move. But how will King Charles react to his sister blocking his wife from accessing the property? Will he side with Camilla or support Anne, or remain neutral to prevent further escalation of the tension? Let's find out. King Charles trapped between two powerhouses. As the dispute over Sandringham escalates, King Charles finds himself walking a precarious tightrope, caught between two powerful figures who both command immense influence within the royal family. On one side is his sister, Princess Anne, a figure widely respected within palace walls and beyond for her unwavering discipline, meticulous attention to duty, and tireless dedication to the responsibilities of the monarchy. Known for her no-nonsense approach and her reputation as the backbone of the modern royal family, Anne has long been regarded as someone who will act decisively when she believes tradition, family loyalty, or the dignity of her household is at stake. Her loyalty to her family, particularly to her brother, and now to her estranged nephew Andrew, adds layers of complexity to her actions, making her a formidable presence in any internal royal negotiation. On the other side stands Queen Camilla, the king's wife and closest confidant, who has worked for years to cement her role within the monarchy and rebuild her public image. Camilla is no stranger to scrutiny or challenge. She understands the delicate balance between family, duty, and public perception. Yet her own interests and vision for her place within the royal household now appear to be in direct conflict with Anne's assertion of rights over Sandringham, where Anne seeks to protect her household's long-established private use of the estate. Camilla reportedly desires a degree of independence and privacy that allows her to maintain her own sense of space and retreat within the royal world. Caught squarely between these two strong-willed women, Charles faces an almost impossible choice. He is grappling not only with family dynamics, but also with mounting institutional pressures, the constant glare of public scrutiny, and ongoing health concerns that have increasingly limited his personal involvement in day-to-day palace matters. Choosing silence, at least publicly, may seem like a safe option, a way to avoid openly taking sides in what could become a highly visible family feud. However, in the shadowed corridors of royal politics, silence rarely resolves tension. Rather, it allows disagreements to fester, subtle rivalries to harden, and private resentments to grow beneath a calm surface. What may appear externally as restraint or neutrality can, in reality, allow conflicts to intensify, making eventual resolution far more complicated. For King Charles, this delicate balancing act highlights the unique pressures of monarchy. Even personal choices are inseparable from matters of duty, loyalty, and legacy. Within Sandringham, and indeed across the wider royal family, his silence has become a quiet stage on which loyalties, authority, and influence are being tested, signaling that even the most private spaces in the monarchy are never truly immune from the intrigues of family and power. King Charles has chosen to remain silent, staying clear of the growing disagreement between his wife and his sister. But what could have driven Princess Anne to take such a bold step? Did Camilla cross a line, prompting Anne to respond decisively? Now, let's uncover the real cause behind the royal crisis unfolding at Sandringham, the scandal that sparked the crisis. Beneath the surface of the Sandringham property dispute lies a far more explosive story, one that revolves around Prince Andrew and the shadows of scandal that have followed him for years. Once a prominent figure within the royal family, Andrew's position and reputation have seen a dramatic decline, largely stemming from his connections to Jeffrey Epstein and the controversies that erupted in their wake. What had once been a life of privilege, titles, and public admiration gradually turned into a tale of isolation, public criticism, and legal scrutiny, leaving the prince increasingly distanced from the inner workings of the monarchy. By 2025, the situation had reached a breaking point. King Charles, faced with mounting pressure and the need to protect the image of the royal institution, took the decisive step of stripping Andrew of all remaining royal privileges. This action was unprecedented in modern times and sent a clear message both inside and outside the family. The era of unchecked royal protection had come to an end. To make matters even more dramatic, Andrew was relocated from his lavish residence near Windsor to Wood Farm, a smaller, more modest home on the Sandringham estate. While Wood Farm is historically part of the royal family's private holdings, this move represented a significant reduction in status and influence, and it symbolized the growing distance between Andrew and the central royal circle. The crisis escalated further in February 2026, when Andrew was arrested under suspicion of misconduct in public office. The news sent shockwaves through the nation and captured international attention, marking the first time in centuries that a sibling of the reigning monarch faced such public legal scrutiny. Police operations descended on the estate, carrying out searches that were both extensive and highly unusual for a royal residence. Observers across Britain and beyond were stunned. This was not just a private family matter, but a story that thrust the monarchy into the harsh glare of public examination. The arrest also intensified tensions within the family, particularly between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Sources suggest that Anne, deeply concerned for her brother's well-being, quietly pushed for him to receive humane treatment and for the family to ensure he was not abandoned entirely. At the same time, Camilla reportedly favored a stricter approach, prioritizing the reputation of the monarchy over individual family considerations. What had begun as a personal scandal had now spilled over into property disputes, private estates, and legal battles, making the situation at Sandringham a complex intersection of family loyalty, public image, and royal power. In essence, the unfolding drama over Andrew's fall from grace transformed what might have been a contained controversy into a full-blown royal crisis, intertwining personal struggles with public spectacle and forever changing the dynamics of the House of Windsor. The story of Sandringham is no longer just about historic walls and private wings. It is now inseparable from scandal, legal strategy, and the fragile balance of influence within one of the world's most famous families. Princess Anne reportedly believed that Camilla played a role in her brother Andrew's downfall, and she acted decisively by sealing off a wing of Sandringham in response. But how far is she willing to go to confront anyone she holds responsible for Andrew's troubles? Let's uncover the shocking details. Princess Anne's fierce loyalty to her brother. Amid the turmoil surrounding Prince Andrew, Princess Anne reportedly stepped into a role few outsiders would have anticipated, becoming one of his most determined internal supporters. Sources suggest that while Anne has never publicly defended her brother's past actions, or attempted to justify the controversies that have long shadowed his name, she has quietly but insistently advocated behind the palace walls for his basic dignity and humane treatment. Those close to the family describe her as deeply concerned for Andrew's mental health, emotional stability, and growing sense of isolation, warning that the prince risked becoming completely cut off from both family and support systems during an extraordinarily stressful period. Anne's approach is rooted in a lifetime of dedication to royal duty, but also in a profound sense of family loyalty. She is known for her disciplined, stoic, and unflinching demeanor, yet those same qualities allow her to quietly act with immense influence behind the scenes, often without attracting public attention. In this case, insiders report that she has repeatedly urged King Charles and other senior family members to ensure that Andrew is treated fairly, even as investigations continue and media scrutiny intensifies. To Anne, the stakes are not just about individual consequences. They are about preserving a measure of humanity and compassion within the royal household itself. However, this position has reportedly put her at odds with Queen Camilla, who is said to favor a far stricter, no-nonsense approach aimed at protecting the monarchy's public image above all else. From Camilla's perspective, any leniency or perceived tolerance toward Andrew could invite criticism, damage public trust, and overshadow the broader work of the royal family. What may appear as a simple difference of opinion is, in reality, a profound clash of priorities. Anne's emphasis on loyalty, compassion, and internal family support versus Camilla's focus on perception, reputation, and the preservation of the crown's dignity. The tension between these two formidable women reportedly extends beyond private disagreements. Sources claim that their conflicting stances have influenced decisions about access to Sandringham, the allocation of private spaces, and the management of the royal household during a period of intense scrutiny. Where Anne sees the estate as a place to maintain family bonds and protect individual members, Camilla views it as a tool for maintaining order, discretion, and the careful management of royal optics. In essence, what began as a personal concern for Andrew's welfare has now evolved into a silent but powerful internal struggle, one that exposes the delicate balance between loyalty, authority, and public responsibility within the monarchy. Princess Anne's quiet advocacy, though unseen by the public, demonstrates the subtle ways power, family loyalty, and compassion collide behind the closed doors of one of the world's most famous royal households. Camilla is reportedly facing retaliation for her strict approach to what happened to Anne's brother, Andrew. But could there be another reason why Princess Anne feels the need to set firm boundaries with the Queen? Now, let's explore how the decades-long rivalry between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla continues to shape the dynamics of the royal family. Inside the hidden feud. The tension between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla is not a sudden development. It is the result of decades of careful observation, subtle rivalry, and unspoken differences that have quietly simmered behind the palace's grand walls. Royal insiders have long described their relationship as outwardly polite, yet emotionally distant, a courteous facade masking underlying friction that few outside the inner circle could fully grasp. On one side stands Anne, the Princess Royal, widely admired for her no-nonsense approach, unwavering discipline, and relentless schedule of royal duties. She is the embodiment of traditional royal service, dutiful, precise, and deeply committed to maintaining the dignity and integrity of the monarchy. Her life has been one of rigorous responsibility, where duty often takes precedence over personal comfort, public attention, or personal sentiment. On the other side is Camilla, whose path into the royal family was far from smooth or conventional. Her life became inextricably linked to one of the monarchy's most scrutinized periods, the years surrounding King Charles and Princess Diana's marriage. Camilla's presence during this era made her a lightning rod for criticism, media speculation, and public judgment. She faced enormous pressure to navigate the intense glare of both tabloid scrutiny and palace expectations, all while trying to carve out a role for herself within an institution steeped in centuries of tradition. Over time, Camilla worked to rebuild her public image, gradually becoming a respected and stabilizing figure within the royal household. Yet even as Camilla gained acceptance and established her place, the subtle rivalry with Anne never fully disappeared. Sources within the palace describe moments of quiet tension, where differences in personality, approach to duty, and personal history seem to create invisible fault lines between the two women. Anne's adherence to strict tradition and her belief in the sanctity of royal protocols sometimes contrasts sharply with Camilla's pragmatic, carefully managed approach to public and private life. While neither side has openly confronted the other, their differences linger beneath the surface, shaping decisions, access, and influence in ways that are rarely visible to the public eye. This long-standing undercurrent of rivalry has, over the years, evolved into a dynamic of mutual wariness, punctuated by small but significant gestures, private disagreements, and moments of tension over shared responsibilities. It is a quiet but potent reminder that even within a family as publicly revered as the Windsors, history, personality, and circumstance can create enduring friction. The subtle duel between Anne and Camilla illustrates how private feelings, long-standing habits, and the weight of tradition can quietly shape the course of events in the most powerful royal households, influencing everything from family dynamics to the management of private estates like Sandringham. Beyond Camilla's role in the divorce between Charles and Diana, which brought intense public scrutiny and ridicule to the monarchy, what other reasons could explain Princess Anne's deep resentment toward her? Now let's explore the complicated history that connects these two powerful women. A tangled past revealed. Adding yet another layer of complexity to the story is a little-known but fascinating chapter from the shared history of Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Long before Camilla became a fixture in the royal family, both women's lives were unexpectedly intertwined in matters of the heart. In the early 1970s, sources suggest that Princess Anne reportedly had a brief romantic involvement with Andrew Parker Bowles, a man who would later become Camilla's first husband. At the same time, King Charles was navigating the early stages of his own complicated relationship with Camilla, a connection that would eventually ripple through the royal household in ways few could have anticipated. This overlapping romantic history created a uniquely delicate and, at times, awkward dynamic between Anne and Camilla, long before Camilla even entered the official royal fold. The personal histories of these three figures were already intertwined, and every subsequent decision, relationship, and alliance would inevitably be colored by these earlier entanglements. While at the time it may have seemed like nothing more than youthful courtships and social connections, in hindsight, these relationships laid the groundwork for decades of subtle tension and unspoken rivalry. When Camilla ultimately married King Charles, she did more than simply become the wife of the future king. She technically stepped into a role of Princess Anne's beloved mother. This reality added an entirely new layer of complexity to their relationship. Anne, who had long been known for her discipline, dedication, and strong sense of duty, suddenly found herself navigating a family dynamic in which personal history, past romantic connections, and present roles intersected in ways that were not only unusual, but deeply personal. Camilla, meanwhile, had to find her own footing within a royal family that had long-standing traditions, rules, and relationships, some of which directly overlapped with her past life. The result is a web of personal and historical entanglements that few outsiders fully understand. The early connections, dating back more than 50 years, continue to subtly influence the interactions between these two formidable women. Their relationship is shaped not just by their respective roles in the monarchy, but by a complex mix of history, memory, and personal identity. Each interaction carries echoes of the past, reminding both Anne and Camilla, and anyone observing closely, that family dynamics within the House of Windsor are rarely straightforward. This tangled history helps explain why tensions between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla persist today. It illustrates that within the royal family, personal history, long-standing rivalries, and even old romantic entanglements can resurface in unexpected ways, quietly shaping decisions, alliances, and conflicts within one of the world's most scrutinized households. Princess Anne may not have forgotten the complicated love triangle that once involved Camilla, Tom, and herself, which could explain why she blocked Camilla from using a wing of Sandringham. But what makes Sandringham so important, and why does it hold such significance for the royal family? Let's uncover the details. The sacred royal sanctuary. The struggle over Sandringham is far more than a dispute over bricks and land. It carries profound symbolic weight for the British monarchy, resonating deeply with history, tradition, and family legacy. This sprawling estate, covering nearly 20,000 acres of lush Norfolk countryside, is not merely a royal property. It is a private sanctuary, a living repository of decades of Windsor family life, and a stage where generations of monarchs have lived, loved, and ruled away from the public eye. Its origins trace back to 1862, when Queen Victoria purchased Sandringham as a personal gift for her heir, the future King Edward VII, ensuring that this corner of England would remain intimately connected to the monarchy rather than the state. Unlike other royal residences, Sandringham belongs entirely to the reigning sovereign and passes directly from one monarch to the next, making it a uniquely personal and fiercely guarded part of the crown. For more than a century, Sandringham has played a central role in the rhythms of royal life. It is the traditional gathering place for the family at Christmas, where ceremonies, celebrations, and private moments have unfolded quietly behind the estate's walls. It is where Queen Elizabeth II spent her final days, surrounded by familiar rooms, gardens, and memories. It is where Prince Philip chose to live quietly in his retirement at Wood Farm, seeking peace within the estate's serene grounds. Across its vast acreage lie historic homes, farms, and private wings, each with its own story. Anmer Hall, where Prince William and Princess Kate have spent part of their family life. Park House, the birthplace of Princess Diana. And Marsh Farm, where Andrew Mountbatten Windsor now resides following his exile from Royal Lodge. Each of these spaces carries both familial significance and echoes of history, intertwining the personal and ceremonial in ways unique to Sandringham. In 2026, Sandringham, long cherished as a private royal sanctuary, has become far more than a quiet retreat. It now stands at the center of a subtle yet powerful struggle over influence, loyalty, and the future of the monarchy. Princess Anne's legal move to secure her family's rights to a private wing has transformed the estate into a symbolic battlefield, where personal history, family ties, and authority collide. This conflict raises deeper questions. Who truly holds power when the king remains silent? How do private loyalties intersect or clash with the crown's public image? And how can centuries of tradition survive modern family tensions? In this sense, the fight over Sandringham is about far more than land or summer retreats. It represents the heart of the monarchy itself, a place where history, family, and the delicate architecture of power intersect, quietly shaping the legacy of the House of Windsor for generations to come. So, what do you think about Princess Anne blocking Camilla's stay at Sandringham? Was her action justified, or did she go too far? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.